When I was 10 years old, my dad disappeared for a year. One day I was coming home from school and I received a letter. He said that he was in prison for molesting a little girl. He said that he was going to be gone for a real long time. I was shocked. I felt really sad. Like, that's my dad. He was my world, my everything, my superhero. And for him to be gone, to be touching a little girl, it scared me. From age 10 to 25, there hasn't been a day that's gone by that I don't think about it. Growing up, I was ashamed and I was embarrassed to carry his last name, to be his daughter. Everybody in my town knew that he was a child molester. I didn't even want my dad to even acknowledge me to be his daughter anymore, period. As the years went on, I started to think. I started to wonder, like, did my dad touch me? I started to have flashbacks before my father went to prison. I was showing signs of abuse back then when I was younger. I was absolutely terrified of him. I didn't want him to touch me, pick me up, no nothing. I ran to the closest family member that I could. I used to cry, yell to the top of my lungs. He scared me. I was really frightened. I didn't want him to take me anywhere, let alone be left alone with him anywhere. I didn't want to go nowhere with him at all. Like, he really creeped me out. When I was 18, I finally got the courage to ask my dad about his conviction. He showed me all the paperwork. The child was way too detailed. She knew everything about my father. My gut tells me that he did it. It tells me that he did it. Him being, this test coming back being positive. Like, that's my biggest fear right now. Like, I hope he didn't do it. Like, my dad is my world. Like, even though that we don't get along, like, he means a lot to me. So I just hope that he passed, you know. And if he fails this test, we are done, completely done. I don't want to have anything to do with him, no nothing. I don't even want him in my life to even recognize me as his daughter. And I'm changing my last name.
1992, I was walking out of my house and 2 police officers approached me and said, "I've been looking for you." They handcuffed me, put me in the car, and drove off and told me and said, "April 15, 1989, where were you?" I said, "With my daughter, watching my daughter Jasmine being born, April 15, 1989. Then they kept badgering me, kept saying, "Well, were you driving a yellow convertible, following this young girl? Were you on the beach? Did you drag her into a house and molest her?" No, I didn't. I went to court, had a mistrial, went back to court, sentenced me to 6 years for something that I didn't do. I lose my kids behind, excuse my French, but I'm here today to talk to my daughters because I love them very much. Jasmine, I don't know why she would say something like that, you know. All my life, you know, I watched her being born from a baby. You know, her mother wasn't there. I was there. Yes.
What were all of the allegations against you?
The allegations was supposedly that I drove a yellow convertible, followed her to school in a yellow convertible. I followed her to her gym classes. I followed her on the beach, then allegedly dragging her into a residence that I didn't live in, and sick.
And you said you claimed that you don't even know the girls.
I've never even seen this kid before.
But you went to trial. There was a mistrial. Then it went to a grand jury, and you were convicted. And they sentenced you to how long in jail?
6 years. I did 3.5 on 6 years.
Okay. When you got released from prison, did you reconnect with your 2 daughters?
I reconnected with Beja. I went out to Beja, seen Beja for the very first time. I spent, I think maybe 3 to 4 months because of the work ethics and, you know, people read your background, and then after that, you out the door. So I left and went to another state and started back working again.
So did you have a relationship with Beja as she was growing older?
No. I haven't been around my kids at all, Steve. You know,
But,
And
that's what you want.
That's what I want.
Right.
That's what I'm here for, to have a relationship with my 2 daughters.
Why were you afraid of him?
I don't know. When I was 5 years old, when I was out in Mississippi where he stayed at, I used to stay in the room. I used to peek and see him outside with other family members. I didn't want to go nowhere with him.
You knew you had a sense of fear.
Yeah, I had a sense of fear. And then when I turned 10, I get a letter from my father talking about he's in jail for being a pedophile. Like, that's embarrassing.
The girl was very detailed about what she stated to the police. The child testified that, Keith, that you lived at the end of their street. She described seeing you over 15 times and that you followed her in his car whenever she would leave her house. States that you would pop up whenever she left the house. You were parked in your car, sat outside. She states, the girl stated to the police that she was walking home, you grabbed her from behind, put your hands over her mouth and one hand on her wrist, that you dragged her upstairs into a home and began to remove her t-shirt, that you threw her on the sofa while attempting to remove her clothing, that you didn't get it off, he just got it around her neck. She went on to state that you were touching her all over and kept saying that he was going to come after her and her family if she said anything. She stated he continued to kiss her all over and told her that he loved her. She claimed he kept touching her all over her breast area, her neck, legs, and by the private area. She testified she was squirming, kicking, screaming, and he put his hand over her mouth. She went on to state that Keith continues to follow her around and threaten her and would show up at public places while staring at her.
So many things can be said about you, and unfortunately none of them are grand. And they have nothing to do with you being convicted of child molestation. None of these ill feelings I have toward you have to do with your child molestation claims. I think you use that as an excuse, but in all actuality, you were and still are a deadbeat father. You didn't even try. Even though no man taught you how to be one, be a father, that is still no excuse. You didn't want to be a father. I have no fond memories of you as a child, except the moment I saw you at 8 years old, and I ran up to you, and I hugged you. You looked larger than life at the time, and then everything went downhill after that. You turned a once happy home into a war zone.
All right, Keith, you came here in an attempt to clear your name as far as the criminal conviction that you have, charges, maybe you did something to Beja and Jasmine. And we're going to start, we gave you 3 different lie detector tests. The first one concerning the crime that you were convicted of. We asked you, regarding the child you were convicted of molesting, did you ever follow her? And you stated no. Regarding the child you were convicted of molesting, did you ever have any sexual physical contact with her? You answered no. While following the child you were convicted of molesting, did you ever sexually touch yourself? You answered no. The result came back all the same to every question. And it came back, Keith, that you did not tell the truth.
I knew he did it. I knew he did it.
Well, this is a typical pattern of Keith's life.
Oh my God.
It's all right.
You also came here and we asked you about your daughter Beja. Regarding Beja, did you ever sexually molest her? You said no, and you told the truth.
Well, what about the other one? The white
You failed.
I failed that.
You failed, molesting that girl. You failed. Now, your daughter Jasmine, who's here, and we asked you, did you ever sexually molest her?
Yeah.
You answered no. And unfortunately, the result of that lie detector test is he did not tell the truth.
Nah, man. You on some This show was on
You're a child molester, and get the hell out of here! Both of you tell stories of he never was a good dad. He's been an absentee dad. The good part here is maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the silver lining of the story. that he wasn't around you. I wish this could have turned out different for you. You have your sister, and you know what? I think you're going to need some help with what you learned about what happened to you, and we're going to help you and get you whatever help you need, okay?
I was raped.
My name is Steve Wilkos, and I'm an investigative talk show host with a law enforcement background.
It was my life or his.
My job is to get truth and justice for everyday people. Watch our videos now.